have caught Dynamitri a little temporarily exposed. So Dynamitri, get decent. Put on your blisters.
Oh yeah, we're actually streaming already.
We're live,
Wow.
yeah.
Live, we're live. This is live. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice one. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. I'm doing okay. The temperature shock between Mexico, for those who don't know, I came back from Mexico on Saturday to London, which is much colder.
Yeah.
I lost my voice yesterday evening. I started losing my voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot. I get a lot when there's like a rapid temperature shift, even like, when the summer ends here and it gets colder. In autumn, I just get like sore throat, and it just lasts like for a day or two.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away and I'm fine again. But I just have this thing where I just get those things. And I had like a 30-degree centigrade shift between Mexico and London, which obviously has been quite a lot. So yeah.
Wow.
But I'll try, I mean,
take your emergency, your vitamin D and zinc.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have to take vitamin D and pills. There's no vitamin D from sun here. So, there's no sun.
I hate that.
Yeah.
So D, today we're talking about the pre-launch.
Fantastic.
Launching products, whether it's music, tours, films, books. How do you get in front of a launch? We're not even going to talk about the launch. We're just talking about the setup to the launch, a 6-month window that we're going to be talking about. Stuff.
Okay. Interesting thing,
Yeah.
I have you said 6 months. 6 months.
We've done it in 3, but it's
Yeah.
a little tight in 3. We like to do 6.
Yeah. I mean, I had artists. I'm not going to drop any names because I don't want to throw any shade on anyone
Sure.
in particular. But I had artists come to me and saying like, "Oh yeah, someone referred me to you as a social media manager. I got a release coming up, and I need some help." And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. No, I kid you not. This is 2-3 weeks." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I'm just not touching it. I'm just not touching it because I know that
You can't win.
You can't win. Things need breathing space. Things need breathing space, and I'd rather not get involved than get money out of someone, and then just throw it up and have someone thinking that I'm not good at what I do. It's not the case of me being good or not. It's just a case of having enough bandwidth and enough time to do certain things. I mean, Spotify editorial playlists, they ask for at least 3 weeks, 3 weeks to actually when you pitch. But obviously the whole other thing, takes time. Socials take time, So yeah, definitely. I myself, I operate on 3 months as an absolute minimum. Like if there is no 3 months, I'm not even touching it. If there's more time, great.
And 3 months is tight.
Yeah. And
like 3 months is cutting it tight. And what we're going to do here, Dynamitri, this is what we've learned after dozens of launches. So we've dialed it each time, tweaked it out. And we've gotten really good at launching products totally paid for. So what we're talking about is what we call funder. It's that front end fundraising, pre-selling, pre-launch window. So this is distilled from hundreds of touch points with fans and followers. So let me throw this up here. Okay. Yeah, this is what we call funder. And what we want to do is we just want to give this to our community, give this to our followers, whether we work together or not. We've built this with and for artists dozens of times, but we just want to give it to you. You can take it, run with it, fork it, tweak it. It's yours to have with, whether we, ever meet face to face or not. And this is a funny thing. Like back in the Cro-Magnon age, when the wheel was invented, all the draggers, all these Cro-Magnon people we're the draggers. It takes real skill and craft to drag stuff. So they were against the wheel. They hated the wheel. This funny guy said, "The wheel steals our jobs. The wheel is fake dragging. We must burn the wheel." And this is something that we see with a lot of like older school artists from, the previous era, 70s and 80s. they kind of think about digital stuff like this, like the wheel. And, you know, more and more artists are loving this and embracing this. As you know, 51% of Grammy winners are independent artists. So they're their own label. So this is kind of the new normal, but there are some kind of holdovers from the 70s and 80s who just want to write their music and just hope that something happens. So we don't play that game. We like to, hope is not a strategy. So we actually put things in place that drive results. But I thought this was a funny way to explain kind of people who hate digital, you know, and I'm not saying Spotify's an angel, whoever, you know, this is just how to embrace the future, really. And as we think about selling, this quote here, selling isn't something you do to people. Selling is something you do with people. Let me read that again. Selling isn't something you do to people. Selling is something you do with people. So we're going to be talking about what that looks like, the with people part of it. Some people call it social selling. Some people call it live selling. Somebody who we work with a lot, Chris Stone, who ran Sony for years and now is just doing social selling, is really a thought leader in this space. On Amazon, online, the social selling piece of it is really interesting. So we don't want to, we're not used car salesmen. We're actually helping people live their life better. So as artists, we have a way of seeing the world, what we create, our music, our shows. Fans don't have that ability to do what we do as artists. So we're actually helping them live their life better. We're blessing them by giving them something to step into that they do not have in Podunk, Arkansas, right? So whether you're in Canada or in Australia, you know, you have a gift as an artist and you are, you know, it's a willing buyer and a willing seller. We're not cold calling people. We're not, you know, hard selling them. We're just saying, look, this is what we're doing. Come be part of it if you want to. So selling is a good thing. It's a lot of artists think of it and kind of throw up in the back of their mouth. So we don't want to do that. And partially why I love this module is it helps people, artists, get in front of their launches. There's a thing called the thud that we've talked about for years. And when, you know, you launch something and it just thuds, no, you know, 5 people hear about it and then they're just on to the next thing. So the thud, we want people to avoid the thud. And the funder process we're talking about today helps people avoid the thud. And the struggle, you know, how it adds value for artists is that funder helps fans literally fund their launches. So it's a pretty cool thing. So the goal for this module is I want you to really have a clear roadmap of how this works and how we've had success with it, and just to take it and run with it and use it. So that's kind of the context for this module. And it's super common for artists just to, like Dynamitri, you just said, hey, I'm launching in 2 weeks. Boom. And I want to talk about how much money is lost by not being able to get in front of their launch. This is where you have the most value. This is where you have the most leverage. This is where you have the most excitement, is in that 6-month window teeing up to your launch. So you don't want to waste this time. It's probably the most important time of a launch. And this really came about, we learned about this, and this is really the model that the creator of Friday the 13th created back in the early 80s. And what he did is he created a poster. You know, they were warned, they are doomed. And on Friday the 13th, nothing will save them. You know, it's a classic movie. You may have seen it. And what he did is he took this poster and he worked backwards from it. He didn't have the movie. didn't have a producer, didn't have a director, didn't have money to make the movie. And what he did was he sold the poster. He talked about the poster and let the poster do the selling for him. And from the poster, he raised more than he needed for the film. He made the film. He got distribution rights for the film. And the film went on to be a franchise that, how many billions of dollars it's made, I don't know. But the point is, and the thing that we want to reverse engineer and to model is the idea of working backwards. Jeff Bezos has a thing called working backwards, very similar to the Friday the 13th poster. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to build a poster and we're going to sell the poster before it's even made. Does that make sense, D?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
That's all right. Good. So let's talk about why this works. The pre-launch funder approach works is as you're setting up for a launch, this is where you have the most leverage. You actually have less leverage at launch than you do right now as you're building up to it. There's more excitement. There's more passion and adventure around it. You're able to speak to it. There's more behind the scenes positive touch points that you can pull out and speak to. And your audience sees you. Your fans are part of this birthing process. And again, if you're in Podunk, Arkansas, this is your way to be involved in the artist you care about most. So they can get their hands dirty in this sense. It strengthens relationships with your fans and preps launch, preps the actual launch in 6 months. And most importantly, we didn't even put it on here, but it makes money for the artist, right? It funds their product. And in the process, it strengthens the artist's confidence, because what we're talking about is a system of live selling where you're going to be speaking a couple times a week. So you're going to build real muscle around your voice, your message, confidence, all that stuff gets super muscular here. So let's talk about the pre-launch playbook here. Getting in front of something. We hit on this earlier, but let's kind of unpack it a little. Most artists are making the thing and they're just heads down in making the thing. But when you begin to be able to get in front of something strategically and tactically, you're able to prepare for the launch of this same thing. So this is something I want you to be able to achieve, is to be able to ask yourself, okay, what are the things I'm getting in front of, and how do I get in front of them? And we're going to talk about this in this process. So this is the calendar. We're going to have a launch, say at the end of June, our rocket launch here. That's our launch. So what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards through those 6 months leading up to that launch. We're not talking about a launch after June. We're just this is the setup, the 6 month prior to launch. Definitely not a launch strategy. This is a setup strategy. You can think of this like live selling without selling out. Chris Stone called it that, and I think that was pretty spot on. So let's take a look at some of the tools. And Scott Page said this, and this is dead on for this. Whoever owns the audience wins. And obviously we're not talking about owning your audience, but whoever owns the pipes and the channels to your audience wins. We talked about this earlier, Dynamitri, about social media and owning an email list. And this is what we're talking about. What are the tools here? Your email list matters. It doesn't have to be a 10 zillion person email list, but there has to be people there, right? A sign-up page could be something as simple as MailChimp, to where you can capture signups, new emails. Social channels, your audience, you should have a reasonable amount of social engagement and followers. Streaming tool, phones, people use phones and they're fantastic, right? There should be some products, right? And we're going to talk about some different product types and bundles. There should be some kind of store where people can purchase. So these are some of the tools, and we've built this out with and for artists. So a lot of artists come to us and just kind of leverage our back office and plug and play with that. Some people want to build it for themselves, and we've done that as well. So it's however you work, right? So let's look at the product types for this pre-launch playbook. There's a lot of different types that we can go down, but let's just hit some of the high levels here. The first is maybe the most exciting is subscription, fan subscriptions. You know, some years ago, people went to Patreon and some of those type platforms. It's so easy nowadays that you can just do this yourself, and keep the 20% fees that GoFundMe and some of the others charge. Product pre-orders is another product type. It could be a single product, or it could be, my favorite is bundles, right? A $25, $50, $75, and $100 bundle price tiers. Exclusives. So say you've got 200 exclusives, and once they're gone, they're gone. That's a meaningful product type for some super fans. Involvement, fan involvement, where they can be asked of themselves to be part of what you're doing, whether it's picking songs or picking a release, or there's 100 different ways that they can get involved, but people will pay. That's actually a product, is like those touch points where they can get involved in some, fun way. Face-to-face, both streaming and in person, that's a product type. And an event kickoff. These are some of the things that we've done that has been really successful in thinking about products, different product types within the pre-launch. Any thoughts, Dee, on that before we go forward?
I was on mute again. Sorry. No, everything seems very clear to me. However, just wanted to say that if everyone watching us either now or later, they have any questions, drop them in the comment box underneath the video. We'll get back. We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
With some informative and interesting answers.
Yeah, definitely. So face-to-face events, streaming, and in person, people pay for those. We don't want to just give everything away for free. We want to bundle them and figure out our pricing tiers, so people can contribute and purchase what we're doing here during this pre-launch. Another thing we need to think about is your themes. So we're going to talk about a live stream schedule here, at the end of this training. And if some artists struggle with telling their story, others kind of get it naturally. So a few things that may help you in pulling out, we call them story points. Let's talk about some of those. And Seth Godin said this beautifully. He said, people don't buy products and goods and services. They buy relationships. They buy stories and magic. So artists that are really good at that story part of it, the magic part, Garth Brooks is fantastic. Taylor Swift is excellent. Coheed and Cambria is great at it. It's whatever your genre and your brand is about. You need to become the best at telling your story, pulling out those story points. So some examples of those is talking about your why you're doing what you do, how you're different, those type of things, your passion, speaking to your passion, your mission, your adventure. Again, Podunk, Arkansas is a fan of yours, maybe because your music, but more often they are tapping into your adventure and you're going for it and you're doing things that they wish they could do. So they're kind of living through you. Your upcoming new thing. It could be a book. It could be a tour. It could be music, whatever that new thing is. That's definitely a theme, right? And something we don't like to think about as artists, but your enemy. If you have Steve Jobs' enemy was, IBM, Big Blue, It's amazing how powerful the idea of, the warrior going up against the IBM, little Steve Jobs going to war against that. People want to hear that. People love that. The Death Star needs to be destroyed, right? And then just a day in your life, as maybe you're a studio vocalist and you get to show them behind the scenes of a studio they will never set foot in. Those type of things are great themes that you'll be pulling from it during the pre-launch funder campaign. So let's talk about what it looks like live selling. And there's a framework we're going to take a look at a video on. It's called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. Some of us may be familiar with Gary Vee, but we're going to take his framework and apply it to the funder pre-launch campaign. So let's take a second here and watch this video if we're not familiar with Gary Vee.
Gary Vaynerchuk is one of the biggest names in marketing today, with his company VaynerMedia representing numerous Fortune 500 companies from their offices in California, Tennessee, and NYC. I was actually turned on to him by a family friend who recommended that I watch his videos in order to help me while I build my business, and since then I've been watching his videos every day religiously to my own prosperity. So, like every good Vayniac, I've been slowly increasing my presence on social media, such as Reddit, Twitter, Medium, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat in order of involvement. And it's made such a huge difference. Honestly, if I just stayed on YouTube and posted to Facebook every time I had a video come out, I wouldn't get nearly as far as I've gotten now. And comparatively speaking, I've seen a lot of success on YouTube thus far, which brings me to why I'm putting out this video so early. I knew I was going to cover it at some point in the future, but lately my inbox on Twitter has been really pissing me off. I literally have over 1,000 people saying, thanks for the follow, thanks for the follow, thanks for the follow, buy my shit. And honestly, it's insulting to me. Not only because of what I've been trying to do with social media and how much care I put into this, but do they really think I'm that eager to help them out? I mean, the pitches I get are so fucking blatant. As Gary would put it, they're going straight for the right hook. It's gotten so bad, people will literally message me out of the blue and ask me to retweet them and follow them on Facebook or whatever, and it's gotten so bad that I've literally replied, why? And they reply as if I caught them completely off guard. And I'm sorry if I come off as an asshole as a result, but I just get so tired of it, and that's why I'm covering this book. No, you watch. This isn't for me, this is for you. The concept of jab, 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 right hook is right in the title. I don't know if you've paid attention to boxing outside of the highly disappointing Mayweather vs. Pacquiao fight, but boxing is referred to as a sweet science for very good reasons. It's a very strategic sport that getting into is beyond the scope of this video, but just know that it's very similar to marketing and sales in that respect. What will work for one opponent won't necessarily work for another opponent. Each opponent needs to be approached differently if you want to come out on top. In boxing, if you meet in the center of the ring and you open with a right hook, by any boxer who has any experience whatsoever, you will certainly miss and be counterpunched. So to put it in the perspective of sales and marketing, how many people do you think I retweeted that outright asked me to? How many people's messages do you think I read if they started out with thanks for the follow? I think you know the answer. You can see those wide right hooks coming from a mile away. In boxing, the jab isn't meant to be a strike to deal any significant damage to your opponent. It's more commonly used as a probe. A lot of expert fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Muhammad Ali use their surgical jabs as a way to measure distance, distract, and control their opponents. The jab is what you use to set up the finishing right hook, and in marketing, the jab is content. Content is king, and much like boxing, the jab will always win you the fight. It certainly isn't the knockout punch, but it sets up the finishing strike, and that is why I put so much content out. On my Medium page, I release at least 2 articles a week, oftentimes more, and if not for my own.
Okay, so the idea of jab, jab, right hook is.
Sorry, I would be interested in watching the whole thing. not now, of course, not
Sure.
now, but very. I mean, if I can just quickly add,
Yeah.
as someone with
Please.
a social media background, I feel what's been said in this video so much, and I had this happening over and over again, either someone's sending me thanks for the follow message, or please follow me back, or please sorry, I mean, I already followed them, so they don't say follow me back, but they say please like this, or please retweet this, or someone then LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a great network in many ways, but it's notorious for people adding you, saying, "Hi, let's connect." Like, I really like your content, and then boom, first message is like, "Oh, I've got this sales tool. I've got this data processing tool. Do you want to check it out?" Like, no,
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like, at least engage with my content. At least let's talk. Let's see if we actually have any. I absolutely, and I know that other people, especially people who sort of use social media with an actual goal, rather than casual users, professionals, people who use social media professionally, they absolutely hate it because it's like you don't go for the hard sales pitch straight away. You engage. It's sort of like you build some sort of a connection,
Right.
with the other person. You don't just add them and be like, "Yeah, please buy my thing,"
Right.
and I know that a lot of people, and a lot of us are on social networks to get leads, to get clients, to make money at the very end of the journey.
Right.
But there is some sort of a, I sometimes compare it to having a what was it, like a ballroom dance. It's
Right.
like there is some sort of a
Dating. Right.
dating.
Right.
Dating. There is some sort of a expected dynamics from the other person that you
You'd never
expect.
go in for the kill and say, "Hey,
Yeah, you don't know.
would
Yeah,
you marry me?" Or it's
yeah,
like, no,
yeah,
there's a dance, there's a give and a
yeah,
take.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah.
exactly right, D. And that's, we think it's about sales, but it's really more about people. How do we help people? How do we
Yeah.
add value to what they're doing? That's why we're doing this. Like, this is,
Yeah.
whether we work together or not, we want to give this out to people to strengthen what they're doing. But yeah, you're 1,000% right. And
Thank
we're gonna talk about what
Yeah.
that looks like on a planning day-to-day basis during our 6-month window here. And as Gary Vee said, it's left, right, jab. We're going to give, ask. We're going to give twice and ask once. So let's kind of, let me throw this back up here. All right. So as we think about the 6 months, we've got some very specific things. And like we said earlier, we don't want to set goals. We want to set processes. Our process is very repeatable, very simple. It's not a huge time commitment. It's something we can knock out in an hour. So let's look at the pre-launch planner here. So over the 6 months, this is a month, right? And we are going to go live for 20 or 30 minutes, say Tuesday and Thursday. You can pick your days. Some days and times may be better. Time zones matter. Pick your whatever 2 days you want to do it. And over those live streams, you're going to do some very specific things each time. And this is our daily stream planner. 1, 2, and 3, left, right. We're going to give, ask. And each live stream, we're going to create positive touch points with your followers. We're going to give them something. Could be a couple songs. It could be a story. It could be just a conversation, but we're going to give them something. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to engage with them. We're going to ask them a question. We're going to get their input. We're going to get them voting on something you're talking about. It could be, I'm going to play 3 songs and pick your favorite song, something as simple as that. And the last thing we do on each stream is say, hey, something we're excited about and working towards is the launch of my XYZ coming up in 6 months. If you'd like to hear more about that, click on this link below. Could take literally 20 seconds in the ask. But this is our process of every live stream. Give, ask, left, right. And that process is once you have your products and kind of your offer pages together, those live streams live in the universe and people follow them, people share them, and people click on the links. and they pre-purchase, or subscribe to your channel. And if you do this consistently, I'm not going to say you're going to, pay for your $20,000 release, but we've paid for many of our $20,000 releases from doing this exact process, having your back office in place, and then just going live, 20, 30-minute live stream twice a week, and give twice, ask once. So Dynamitri, that's kind of a quick overview of the funder pre-launch. But I wanted to kind of give that to our community and help them to start think about getting in front, getting on offense of their launches, rather than, getting behind it and releasing it and then hearing a big thud.
Fantastic gift and very useful information. I'm not on mute. No, I'm not. I just wanted to make sure, because I haven't so many times. No, another very, very useful and very valuable session. Thank you so much, John.
Absolutely.
If anyone has any questions, anything has been unclear, or anyone is interested in hearing more, please drop us a comment in the comment section below. We'll get back to you.
And I'd love to hear our community members, tell me about your launch experience.
Yeah.
What worked, what didn't work, what would you change? Comment below. We'd love to hear, your experiences for your launches.
Yeah.
And also let me say too, is, we've built this out with and for artists. If you've got a launch coming up, we'll be happy to talk to you about your launch. It may make total sense to just build this for you, or if it's quicker, you can leverage our back office, and our back office kind of becomes your back office. So that's a conversation we can have as well. So I hope this helps all the members of the community. As like Dynamitri said, as you have questions, love to hear them, love to hear about your launch experiences, what worked, what imploded. I have a feeling I may know why they imploded, because we've run across those situations where people are like, "Hey, I'm launching in 3 weeks. What do I do? What do I do? Help me pull a rabbit out of my hat." It's like, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great,
so much.
guys.
Okay. We're back. We're back tomorrow with another session. Hope to see everyone. And any questions, comments, box is yours. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Strange how the world distorts our shape. Funny how you seem to feel better once again you turn away. Don't be afraid to let me wake you up. You never get the things you want, you can find by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life. Inhale, let my words infuse your mind. Ignite a magical flame, but once again you break your gaze. Don't be afraid to let me burn you up. You never get the things you want, you can find by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.
I ain't scared of nothing but failure. Listen here, let me tell you, I'm on the red eye from Egypt tonight. We got so much against us, but it still feels right. You so electric, boo, you turn me on like a light. Our body chemistry won't allow us to fight. The adrenaline rush seems to give me wings, and it's not about sex. I love hearing you sing. Those jewels are superficial, baby, you my bling.
You never get the things you want, you can find my feet. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.
Adrenaline rush seems to give me wings, and it's not about sex. I love hearing you sing. Those jewels are superficial, baby, you my bling. It's the keys to my kingdom, baby, you my queen. I'm on the red eye from Egypt, baby, on my way. No inhibitions, been thinking about my boo all day.